Well, your kids are back in school. Making the transition from a long summer into learning mode is hard, but studies show students can lose up to 1 grade point after summer vacation. So how can you get your kids focused with their heads still stuck in the pool, from the beach back to where it needs to be? The author of Engaged is Lederman, and he joins us this morning. Not like David Letterman.
No.
Nice to see you, Greg. The book, by the way, is a New York Times bestseller this morning. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's dive into this. So what you focus on are relationships and engagement, but getting our students to be focused, getting them back out, away from the beach. They were playing all day. They had a free run of the house to get them back to focused on schoolwork. That's a tough transition.
I imagine it's a tough transition, but it's no different than any engaged effort in the work environment. It's about finding success of what you want your kids to be doing and reinforcing that success.
So you have some tips that you point out in the book. If you don't define your kids' mindset, they were going to use their own. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's in the book. I don't write about engaging kids. It's about engaging employees in the work environment. But what we say is if you don't define the mindset, then every employee is going to use their own. So at home, if you're not defining a mindset for your values, how you want your kids to think, then you're leaving it up to them to decide how they're going to act and interact.
And you have to motivate your kids as well. Do you give them rewards? Do you give them treats? How do you motivate your kid to actually get back into schoolwork?
Well, I've got 3 daughters, and it's not about rewards and treats. It's about finding successes that they're doing well and recognizing those. And I know in the work environment we say over and over again, if you want to see success, capture and share it and replicate what you want to, be able to replicate what you want to see more of. It's not about providing cash incentives and rewards in the work environment. I can't imagine it is at home either.
So chore money or just getting a reward, a present or a toy or food, those items don't actually work.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people think that carrot and the stick mentality is going to work, and it goes against human nature. And there's 7 decades of research that says what people crave in the work environment is recognition and appreciation for doing a great job, or at least doing a good job. And parents tend to do this pretty well. If you think about little Johnny takes his first steps, and what do? We praise him like crazy.
Right.
Then little Johnny is going to ride the bike for the first time, and what do? Well, we praise him like crazy. Why? Because we want to see more of that.
Right.
Gets into extracurricular activities, he's doing sports or a play, and he's doing well. We praise him like crazy. So the best parents, I imagine, are the ones that are fueling that innate need for recognition and appreciation. However, then little Johnny gets into the work environment where praise is rationed out, like there's going to be a shortage of it.
Right. It's hard to find. Yeah.
It is. I mean, there 2/3 of the American workforce is not engaged, according to any research study you would Google today. 2/3 of the work environment not engaged or actively disengaged. So it's almost as if we tend to do probably a good job in most homes, knowing we need to fuel that appreciation and recognition, and then we take these kids into the work environment where there's truly an engaged crisis.
Maybe that brings you to the 4th point, which is your parenting doesn't stick without the power of reminding. So you've got to keep reminding these kids of this.
Well, yeah, I know at our dinner table every now and then we go around the table, we talk about our values, we list examples of where we've seen it during the day, where we haven't. It's just one way of reminding the workplace. In the book, I write about tools that managers can be doing with their workforce. 60 seconds at the beginning of a meeting to talk about where have we demonstrated our brand, what we call living the brand, where have we lived our company values, where have we fallen short. So having a system in place to capture those successes as they're happening and constantly share those in your organization, that's what drives the level of engagement up in a workplace. And I imagine that can work at home for most folks.
Well, check it out. It's a New York Times bestseller this morning. The book is called Engaged. Greg Lederman, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much.